Hello, welcome to T&T Productions. I am Danny, and we are on the street. I got a chance to talk to my friend Joe, who had his problems dealing with the Korean legal system. Not only did he have some incompetent lawyers, but he also had some unscrupulous in-laws. We're gonna hear his story. But before we do, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be notified when something new comes to T&T Productions. So, let's see what Joe has to say.
The purpose behind telling you all about this is often I see on various Facebook pages and such, when people get into problems here in Korea, it could be some legal problems, and the typical advice is go see a lawyer. Well, a lot of those people that advise go see a lawyer, they've never experienced the Korean system. They've never dealt with a Korean lawyer. Now, I have, and I've spent a lot of money. I'm here to tell you what it's like, and it's not very nice. Okay. This all stems from 2020. My Korean wife died of cancer in August 2020. Well, after she died, it was then a case of dealing with various legalities. I'd never dealt with any lawyers previously in Korea, and my wife always advised me you want to avoid them as much as possible in Korea. Often when we had things that would happen, just pay the money or you don't have problems in Korea. So unfortunately, my wife's family, who my wife trusted, turned out to be very, very difficult and did not care about what my wife's wishes were. She left a will. She wanted me to help look after her mother, who's elderly. She left instructors to her sister to help me out with all the legalities and instructions. Okay, so my first appointment with a lawyer was just a 1 hour talk. Now, back in Australia, I was previously in business. I spent a lot of money on lawyers. I dealt a lot with lawyers. I knew how to deal with them. So my first meeting, I was shocked. This particular lady, again, no names, did not take down a single note. Now, if anyone's ever visited a lawyer, they're always putting everything down on paper. You're on the phone with them, they're writing everything down. It's notes for her. It's like, lady, you must have a damn good memory if you don't even write it. And I asked, how much would it cost? What would be the legal fees for getting that property transferred? Well, she said 20 million won. I later found out there's these specialist property transfer guys. They do it for 500,000 won. Yeah, that's multiplied by 40.
Right.
So for those who keep advising, you've got a problem in Korea, go see a lawyer. As soon as they see you coming through the door, I can't speak about every lawyer, but so far the ones that I've dealt with, they're going to charge you a hell of a lot more, I think, than what local people pay. Okay. So then it's like, okay, this person's no good. I need to find a different lawyer. Okay. So I went to there's that Foreigner Help Center near City Hall, and they recommended someone for me. This person looks at my wife's will, says, yeah, it's fine, it's all perfectly valid. Okay, fine. did the 1 hour consultation. I said, okay, my wife's got a daughter, we need to come in, we need to sign some documents, whatever. And she said, okay, well my fee is 200,000 per hour. Right. And then the next day I get a message from her regarding the daughter coming in to sign documents, etc. The fee is going to be 2 million won. Quite elite, yeah. She was charging like a fee for negotiating, and it was like non-refundable. Whether I get a result or not, I still want the 2 million. So it's like, okay, I'm walking away from this person. What do I do next? Luckily, where I was working, my boss at the time, lovely lady, she asked, how are you? I said, well, I'm getting I'm getting messages from my wife's family, so not my wife's, my wife's friends, demanding money. No condolences. Right. No, oh, sorry about your wife. Don't just give us money. Right. She was shocked. She was shocked, and she was really lovely. Anyway, it turns out her father is a retired judge, and she said, "Go see my father. He'll advise you." And he was great. He was so nice. So he heads a large legal firm, and this was gratis as well. So we went in, and now he's a retired judge. Okay, he looks at my wife's will. He goes, "Oh yeah, okay, everything's in order." Okay. Well, it turns out that the will wasn't in order. The judge was really nice. He recommended a buddy of his to do the property transfer. And this was the guy who charges 500,000 won, not 20 million. And so I go to him, he looks at the will. Oh yeah, it's fine. He's always doing these will property transfers. So a few months elapse. The property hasn't been transferred. Well, it turns out the sister is questioning the validity of the will. Now, interestingly, the sister signed off on the will. She agreed to be the executor, and now when it comes time to be the executor, she promised her own sister she would be the executor, she would do everything to help me out, and then when the time comes to be the executor, I'm not going to be the executor. Now, the daughter can get a large percentage, and of course, I strongly suspect then there's a kickback. I'm not a lawyer, I've studied quite a bit of legal subjects back in Australia, British legal system, but there's a thing we call conflict of interest. The sister, she's meant to be the executor, she's supposed to act in her sister's, as in my wife's, interest. And then there's a daughter who has a completely different interest. Well, they end up, both of them, getting the same lawyer representing both of them. Now that in Australia, under the Lawyers' Code of Ethics, that's not allowed, because you've got two parties with different interests being represented by the same lawyer. Here in Korea, it's okay. There was one little hearing that I went to. It was just it was a procedural hearing, because there were going to be two court cases. Well, this was my first experience in a Korean courtroom. So I go in there. Here, the order is 10:05, 10:10, 10:15, 10:20, 10:25. It's bali. Our time comes up, and the court didn't even appoint an interpreter for me. I got my own. And it's like, okay, this is going to take a little bit longer because there's an interpreter involved. The judge says something. The interpreter, now, this is how logically it should work. The judge should then give the interpreter time to explain it to me. So he's busy explaining to him, And then while he's halfway through explaining to it, she's yapping on and telling him other stuff. There was like, we don't care if he understands or knows what's going on. We just have to stick to the schedule. So that was my first experience. I need to speak to this sister, explain to her, she thinks I'm the problem. I'm not the problem, it's the daughter. And the only reply I get from her is, I don't want to talk to you, talk to the lawyer. So she's questioning the will. Obviously you need to have evidence that this is what the person wanted. Now, if it's handwritten, because it's the person's handwriting, it doesn't need to be signed. Okay, so this was handwritten and signed. Okay, so this is like extra evidence that this is what she wanted. Okay, that means it's not valid. What you intend, that's irrelevant. The sister-in-law helped my wife with the will and whatever. And it turns out, despite the fact it was witnessed by two people in her handwriting, the sister signed off on the will. She signed off. She agreed to be executor. And then she says it's invalid. What the will also needed was a dojang. It's that little Korean stamp. It's a scam. Planned ahead. Okay. So we've got the one lawyer who wanted 20 million for the transfer, 2 million for insurance, doesn't take any notes. We've got the second lawyer who wants 2 million just to talk, says the will's perfectly fine under my expertise and was wrong, and still charged me for time. And then we got a retired judge who's being nice to me. He's a retired judge, and he's got it wrong. And then we've got the guy who does the property transfer, and he's got it wrong. I'm just a dumb whitey. How the hell am I supposed to get this right when these people can't get it right? If I'm a Korean. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You need to make an executor. Okay. You can get one of my family members to do this, but I'm the whitey. You can't get a whitey to be an executor. It's got to be a Korean. So automatically, I'm at a huge disadvantage. Okay. So then legal case number 2. Now I've learnt from example in Australia, if you try to shortcut and get cheap lawyers, you get crappy results. So I get the best, a retired judge. These guys charge like wounded bulls. Okay, so he's going to try to get the court to accept the will, despite the fact there's no dojang. What I saw, his legal argument was a newspaper clipping, as in it was an article about how Korea is advancing, we've got to change our administrative systems, and this dojang thing, it's a thing from a past and no longer valid. Which in a lot of respects is true. In a lot of places, like if you don't have the dojang, just sign. So I lost that case. It's like, no, the dojang has to be, as to any of these other circumstances, not applicable. Now, the interesting thing is the court case. If you've ever been to a Korean court, it's designed to be really fast. The whole trial took literally a couple of minutes. That was it. So what I'm trying to get at here is, I'm sure some people have had positive experiences with the legal system here. Even back home, it's a crapshoot. You can get a judge that maybe doesn't like the color of your eyes for some reason because he had a bad experience with that. But the simple fact is, for people here thinking, call the police or or get a lawyer or go to court. It's not that easy. Finding someone who's knowledgeable and trustworthy. I dealt with the best. I paid for the best, and still they don't know. And a lot of people advise, just go to the community legal centre or whatever, the foreigner help centre, the free lawyer. I mean, if you're paying top dollar and you're getting crappy legal advice, what are you going to get from that legal centre? In summary, all I can say is it's a Bali legal system designed to get an outcome as quickly as possible. Limited evidence, just paperwork. There's a good chance of purely based on the education system, they're going to have biases. And finally, it's like, well, what chance do we have to know what the law is, do everything properly, when the people that work within the system, they don't know? And yet I'm expected to know.
So it seems like Joe had a really rough time with the Korean court system. Not only did his wife die and his in-laws were kind of unscrupulous, he also had to deal with a bunch of Korean lawyers. Have you had problems dealing with the foreign court system? Do you have some unscrupulous in-laws? How are lawyers where you are? So leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. This is Danny with T&D Productions. See you next time.